For some, it's their dream to uncover hidden treasures left from the past, to find ancient remains of a civilization long gone by the time it is found. For instance, you have Yorgos Kentratas. He was a peasant who in 1820 discovered the now renowned Venice di Malo. He discovered this whilst collecting scrap marble he had stumbled upon. His discovery would quickly be known by a man, one Oliver Valtuer, a French naval officer who was nearby looking for ancient remains. He would then bribe Yorgos in assistance of digging up the sculpture. The sculpture is now put on display with its true meaning unsure. However, rather than looking into this statue itself, there is another instance of wishing to uncover the past that has consumed many since the 1700s. Enter one William Kidd, who was commonly known as Captain Kidd. He was a notorious Scottish privateer and pirate who operated during the late 17th century. Born in 1645 in Greenock, Scotland, Kidd began his career as a privateer authorised by the British government to attack and capture enemy vessels during times of war. However, his story took a dramatic turn when he turned to piracy, leading to his eventual downfall. In 1695, Kidd set sail on his most famous expedition aboard the Adventure Galley, with the mission of hunting down the pirates in the Indian Ocean. Despite his original intention, Kidd's crew grew increasingly discontented due to his harsh treatment and lack of success in capturing valuable prizes. Frustrated and desperate to satisfy his crew, Kidd eventually resorted to piracy himself. Kidd's pirate activities primarily centered around the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. Although he managed to capture a few ships, his reputation as a feared pirate was largely exaggerated. The most notorious incident associated with Kidd occurred in 1698 when he attacked and looted the Shrouded Merchant, an American vessel sailing under a French pass. The Shrouded Merchant was loaded with valuable cargo including gold, silk, and other precious items. This act would later play a significant role within his trial. Kidd's downfall began when he returned to the Caribbean in 1699. He was betrayed by his crew, who accused him of piracy and mutinated, leading to his capture. He was subsequently sent to England to stand trial for piracy and murder. The trial garnered significant attention as Kidd's connections to influential individuals, including Richard Coote, the Earl of Bellamont, raised suspicions of corruption within the British government. Kidd's trial took place in 1701, and he was found guilty of murder and piracy. He was sentenced to death and hung in London, with his body left to hang in chains as a warning to other would-be pirates. William Kidd, before his public execution, was a man that ended up with riches due to his piracy. Although his ship would have contained a massive amount of these riches, that's not where it would all be found. Treasure of his would be found in Gardiner's Island, a small island in the town of East Hampton in New York. In June 1699, while sailing to Boston to face charges of piracy, Kidd would make a stop at said island. With the permission of the island's proprietor, he buried a chest, a box of gold, and 2 boxes of silver in a ravine near Boswick's Point and the Manor House. Kidd indicated to Mrs. Gardiner, the island's residence, that the box of gold was intended for Lord Bellamont, the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. As a gesture of gratitude for her hospitality, Kidd gave Miss Gardiner a length of gold cloth captured from a Moorish ship and a sack of sugar. As time continued, a legend emerged that Kidd had warned that if the treasure was missing upon his return, he would harm the Gardiners. However, trial testimony given by John Gardiner on July 17, 1699 did not mention any threats, and Kidd's behavior seemed to have been civil. Kidd was eventually tried in Boston, and Governor Belmont ordered Gardiner to deliver the treasure as evidence. The loot consisted of gold dust, silver bars, Spanish dollars, rubies, diamonds, candlesticks, and porringers. Gardiner kept one of the diamonds, which he later gave to his daughter. Today, a plaque on the island marks the spot where the treasure was buried. Other locations are said to house more of Kidd's long sought-after treasure. Located in the Bay of Fundy, Grand Manan has long been associated with Captain Kidd's alleged buried treasure. As early as 1875, treasure hunters began scouring the island's west side, drawn by local lore and tales of Kidd's exploits as a privateer. The area where the treasure was believed to be hidden became known as Money Cove, a testament to the enduring allure of lost riches. Despite numerous searches, the elusive treasure remained undiscovered, adding to the mystique surrounding Captain Kidd. As well as, in 1983, Cork Graham and Richard Knight embarked on an audacious expedition to search for Captain Kidd's treasure off the Vietnamese island of Phuoc. Inspired by the legends and historical accounts, Graham and Knight set out to discover the long-lost fortune. However, their expedition took an unexpected turn when they were caught and subsequently convicted of illegally landing on Vietnamese territory. The authorities imposed a hefty fine of $10,000 on each of them, and they were imprisoned for 11 months until the fine was paid. Despite their effort, the search for Captain Kidd's treasure in Phuoc yielded no tangible results. These then led to another site that people dubbed to be the ground of Kidd's treasures, that of Oak Island. Oak Island, located in Nova Scotia, Canada, has gained notoriety as a hub of treasure-seeking and historical intrigue. Shrouded in dense forest, this privately owned island has sparked the imaginations of countless explorers and historians. While there are no definitive historical records linking Kidd directly to Oak Island, legends and theories suggest a tantalizing connection. According to accounts, Kidd visited Oak Island in 1699 while en route to Boston to face piracy charges. Legend claims that he buried a chest, a box of gold, and 2 boxes of silver in a ravine between Bostwick's Point and Manor House. Despite the allure of these legends, concrete evidence linking Kidd to Oak Island or confirming the existence of buried treasure remains elusive. Over the years, numerous excavations and explorations have taken place. Yet, results have been inconclusive up to this point. Skeptics dismiss the alleged treasure as natural phenomena or just myths. Nevertheless, the ongoing fascination with Oak Island and its potential connection to Kidd continues to inspire treasure hunters, historians, and enthusiasts. The pursuit of hidden riches and the mysteries of the past fuel the curiosity of many. Today, plaques commemorate the supposed location of Kidd's treasure on Oak Island, serving as a reminder of the legends and stories that have been perpetuated as the island's reputation. The island held many hotspots of where the treasure could have been located. Money Pit, as one of these hotspots was dubbed, is said to be where the first of the exploration would start. Money Pit was a shaft found on the east side of Oak Island, more than 30 meters deep. It is believed that in 1795, a local teenager happened to find said shaft, and that it spiked his interest. He noticed an indent within the ground and alongside his friends, started digging out of curiosity, only to find a man-made shaft featuring wooden platforms every 3 meters down to a 75-meter level of depth. More of these hotspots were located along the island, such as Nolan's Cross, a swamp formated triangularly, and a spot dubbed Smith's Cove. In each of these locations, oddities such as non-native coconut fiber was discovered, and in Smith's Cove, found a lead cross and various wooden earthworks. Oak Island and its numerous locations have become a tourist destination to many, however as time went on, more emerged. In 2018, Oak Island researchers found a collection of ancient manuscripts that dated back to 14th century, something that couldn't have been Kidd's treasure. However, it was nothing short of a revolution to expand the history of Oak Island. It wasn't only an island known for the alleged housing of Kidd's rumored treasures, however an island itself that held an abundance of history. The Mi'kmaq people were the first known indigenous inhabitants of Nova Scotia, including the region that is now known as Oak Island. They thrived in this area for millennia before the arrival of Europeans. It remains unclear when Europeans first encountered Oak Island, but confirmed European residents settled nearby in the 1750s. Following the expulsion of Acadians during the 7 Years' War, the British authorities encouraged British colonists from New England to establish themselves in Nova Scotia, leading to the founding of Chester in 1759. In the early 1760s, settlers from Massachusetts arrived in the Chester area, and Oak Island was officially surveyed and divided into lots in 1762. Families such as Monroe, Lynch, Seacombe, and Young owned significant portions of the island. Edward Smith, one of the early settlers, lent his name to the island, initially calling it Smith's Island. However, cartographer Joseph Frederick Wallet Desbas renamed it Gloucester Isle in 1778, which eventually gave way to the locally used name Oak Island. The island's ownership changed hand over the years, including land grants to former soldiers in 1784. The Michigan group, comprising of Rick and Marty Legina, Craig Tester, and Alan Kostres-Zewa, joined forces with Dan Blankenship to continue the search for the treasure on Oak Island. They acquired the island from Blankenship until his passing in 2019. With a renewed sense of enthusiasm, the current owners carry on a legacy of treasure hunting on Oak Island. Now, stepping back momentarily, the ancient manuscripts discussed earlier was something of a mystery not only because of it being a newly found discovery, but because of it being impossible to decode. It consisted of a language unknown to those exploring the island, piled together in the form of a book, almost. The manuscripts themselves were written on a type of bark that would only be found in the Mediterranean. Of course, the question of the origins of the text would then arise. People speculate the connections to the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were a medieval Christian military order founded in the early 12th century. Originally known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, they quickly became one of the most powerful and influential organizations of the time. The Templars played a significant role in the Crusades, serving as elite warriors and protectors of Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Lands. They established a vast network of fortifications, castles, and banking systems across Europe, as well as the Middle East. The Templars' distinctive white mantles adorned with a red cross and their reputation for bravery in battle made them a formidable force. They became renowned for their strict code of conduct, including vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Their military success and growing wealth led to their rise in power, making them influential figures in both religious and secular realms. The Order's financial operations were particularly notable, as they developed a system of banking and financial services, effectively becoming an early multinational corporation. Templar banks offered loans, conducted monetary transactions, and safeguarded assets, accumulating considerable wealth and influence. However, the Templars' power and wealth eventually drew the attention of jealous rivals, including that of the French monarchy and the Catholic Church. In 1307, King Philip IV of France, in collaboration with Pope Clement V, initiated a plot to arrest and dismantle the Templars. The knights were accused of various charges including heresy, idol worship, and financial corruption. Many Templars were arrested, interrogated, and subjected to torture. Some members confessed to the charges, while others fiercely denied them. In 1312, Pope Clement V officially dissolved the order, and the Templars' assets were seized by the French crown and other European powers. The Templars' leaders were executed, and the remaining members were disbanded or assimilated into other military orders. The downfall of the Knights Templar remains shrouded in mystery and controversy. Legends and conspiracy theories surrounding their supposed hidden treasures, secret knowledge, and connections to various historical events and secret societies have persisted through the centuries. The Templars continued to capture the fascination of scholars, historians, and enthusiasts alike, leaving an enduring legacy as one of the most intriguing and enigmatic organizations of the medieval period. It's said the manuscripts relate to other artifacts found on the island as well, one of which being a stone tablet littered with mysterious symbols. During the search of the manuscripts, a hatch would be found, one unknown until their time of discovering it. It was found within the elusive money pit. It was a hatch of 6 feet in length and 3 feet wide. In an attempt to lift the hatch, an iron lock put a stop to it. It became something that entangled the Oak Island community, something holding more than its possible connections to buried treasure, but the answer to the island's greatest mystery. To continue discussing the mystery of Oak Island and all that relates to it, those that have found the manuscripts need to be first outlined. 11-year-old Rick Lagina would find himself flicking through an article, a copy of Reader's Digest, 1965. The article read about the mystic treasures hidden in a small island off Canada. He and his brother Marty had been even more excited when their father showed them an article written about the island in the Wall Street Journal. Between the two brothers, Rick was more captivated to further investigate the buried treasure, especially when he learned that many people had tried their luck and yet failed to find it. His interest in the island didn't come to a surprise to those that knew him, as he was a well and captivated avid explorer, fascinated with the idea in relation to the topic, even engaging in a treasure hunt in 1964 in his hometown. In this exploration, he was thrilled to have seen a huge granite rock. As a young boy, his curiosity led him to check what was underneath, so he sought the assistance of his brother, Marty, and a crew of other kids their age in their neighborhood to move said rock. To Rick's and his friends' dismay, not a trace of any valuable items was found underneath the big rock. However, the term "curiosity killed the cat" came into effect, as his interest never fizzled. The stone tablet mentioned, which is said can relate to the manuscripts, was found in 1796. Then, a team searched the area, finding said stone tablet, which shocked those who found it. Even experts at the time couldn't figure out what the writing and symbols on the tablet was. 90 years later, it would be translated. It then read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Another theory unrelated to William Kidd's piracy suggests that the hidden treasure of Oak Island actually belongs to one infamous royal lady, Marie Antoinette. The story goes that Marie sent her maid all the way to Nova Scotia in order to hide her wealth and her jewellery on said island. Rumour has it that even the French Navy was involved in the oppression, but it was never confirmed. Meanwhile, others believe that when Captain Blackbeard claimed he had hid something where none but Satan and myself can find it, he actually admitted to stashing something on the island. One of the most intriguing theories about Oak Island treasure relates to the alleged Masonic markings that can be found all throughout the island. The markings found seem to correspond with a Masonic ritual. At the time when the teenagers mentioned earlier in the video dug to find the shaft, it was looked at, people tried to dig deep but hit numerous blocks, one of which was water leading directly to Smith's Cove. No matter the efforts at the time, nothing could be done to unearth the believed treasure. Unfazed by the challenges of the Oak Island treasure in 1849, a new team of explorers called the Truro Company set foot on the island. They found an efficient way to drill samples of the pit without water being an issue. As they were drilling, they managed to successfully drill through 2 chests filled with coins. They thought this was the first sign of the massive hidden treasure that was promised by the stone. There was a claim that 3 gold links from a chain were also discovered, but these gold links went missing and no one had an inkling of what actually happened. The Trump Company had realized that the water beneath these treasure chests moved in flow with the tide. But unluckily, a storm came in and flooded the entire hole, eliminating all progress, meaning that they had to essentially give up. In 1861, the Oak Island Association tried their luck at cracking the case. They put their hearts and time into reaching an 88-foot depth in the money pit. They made a new shaft to stop the water from entering. However, unfortunately, the team had a devastating tragedy when the entire bottom part of the pit fell. When the pump burst, one of the members was killed. Rumors then started circulating, saying that ghost pirates were acting as guards of the hidden treasure. But even more disturbing and frustrating was the fact that they could not understand what it said still, even without knowing what the parchment meant. They still wanted to continue digging. Just as they were getting close to their mission, Manyard Kaser, one of the team's explorers, met his tragic death. It all happened when they tried to lift him back to the surface. As he was being hoisted up, his rope untangled from the pulley, and tragically, Maynard fell to his death down the shaft. This is where the fear of the cursed Oak Island set in. At some point, even the late President Franklin Delano Roosevelt got himself involved in the mystery of Oak Island. Stirred by his family's sailing stories, he continued following the island's treasure mystery until his death in 1945. Roosevelt was a member of the Old Savage group. Even though the crew of explorers didn't make much progress on their hunt for the island's treasure, he continued to monitor Oak Island's attempts and the developments. In 1939, he planned to secretly visit the island, but it didn't materialize due to the weather and certain international issues. In 1928, a New York businessman, Gilbert Hedden, got captivated by the strangeness of the mystery following the island after reading an article about it. As an operator of a steel fabricating firm, he was curious about the engineering issues that the previous explorers encountered. Determined to apply his engineering skills and, of course, try his luck at finding the controversial treasure, he arrived on the island with his business partner, Fred Blair. They drilled some of the shafts and discovered something more intriguing than had ever been found before. Gilbert Hedden and Fred Blair's decision to take on Oak Island did not disappoint them, as they became the first witnesses to the island's newest revelations. What the pair discovered was a stone with the markings almost the same as the ones that was discovered in 1804 in the Money Pit. Later on, they found some old timber at Smith's Cove that appeared to be the exact material that's used when the pit was initially built. Another treasure hunting hopeful was Irwin Hamilton, who arrived on the island in 1938. When he started drilling in 1939, he found some intriguing rocks and gravel. Upon checking them, Hamilton realized that they were foreign and that they had been placed there intentionally. His next discovery was an odd layer of natural limestone that contained some oak splinters. As such, he believed that a layer of wood existed underneath the limestone layer. Hamilton was thrilled with his findings, but reached an impasse. The next person who wanted to come in and examine the island was Robert Restall, who, like the past explorers, was hopeful when he started his mission. Restall arrived on the island in 1959 and discovered a stone with 1704 engraved upon it. However, a horrific tragedy ended his mission as well as his life. Having just transferred his family onto Oak Island to allow him the freedom to pursue his expeditions, Restall inhaled carbon monoxide from an engine which left him to fall, unconscious, down the Money Pit. Robert Restall Jr. was there, and he witnessed his father's fall. He rushed to the pit and tried to rescue him, not knowing he would soon suffer the same fate as his father. The son inhaled the same toxic fumes that caused his father to plummet down the hole. Once he did, Restall Jr. fell to the same tragic fate. Two workers in the area, Carl Grazer and Cyrus Hiltz, hurriedly went to the pit and tried to climb down to rescue the Restall men. However, they then also inhaled the carbon monoxide and met their deaths down the pit as well. This was the island's biggest disaster. 4 deaths in one day. The Money Pit, it seems, was working its way up to the number prescribed in the myths, 7 deaths before the treasure would be revealed. The same year, the Restall men and their workers fell to their deaths. Robert Dunfield arrived on the island. We guess he wasn't deterred by the odd deaths and the rumors that the ghosts were protecting the treasure, because he brought with him an army of cranes, bulldozers, and heavy machinery to dig the pit further. He tunneled approximately 140 feet down, reaching the thick limestone layer that was then previously discovered. Another man by the name of Daniel C. Blankenship also went to the Money Pit to dig in 1965. His efforts paid off when he found a hand, wrought nail, a washer, and a stone-shaped heart 60 feet down. While the odd discoveries didn't make a whole lot of sense in isolation, they formed part of a puzzle that was slowly coming together. In the late 1960s, a group called the Trident Alliance was created to continue the quest for the elusive treasure. The team used heavy machinery in the hope of making significant findings and, most importantly, to unearth the treasure. Aside from recovering some artifacts such as a 300-year-old pair of wrought iron scissors, the team's extensive search did not reveal much of anything useful. However, the crew of hardened explorers refused to back down from their tough mission. 76, the Trident Alliance came back with a brilliant idea on what they could do to try to reach a breakthrough. At this point, there was already a lot of new technology available that did not exist when previous expeditions tried to solve the case. The images from the camera revealed an array of objects and tools suspended in the water. Leather shoes were discovered along with, to their horror, a severed human hand. The Trident Alliance members were more thrilled when they saw 3 chests that looked a whole lot like the ones people like to bury treasure in. It was a truly overwhelming day for the team. While they were excited about the chest, it was hard not to be distracted by the human remains. After seeing shocking images from below the shaft, the Trident Alliance sent divers to recover the objects, but they were in for yet another surprise. None of the items they'd seen on the camera could be found. The current in the pit was so strong that it caused sand and dirt to be constantly churning, making visibility a nightmare. The divers were basically blind in their mission to find the items. They eventually gave up. Just minutes after the divers decided to go up and go out, something terrible had happened. The shaft fell apart. The group had no choice but to abandon their excavation. A decade after the Trident Alliance officially ended their quest for the buried treasure, Oak Island was starting to catch the interest of the general public. The mysterious island was featured on an episode of the 1979 TV show In Search of Blank. The episode concerning the island earned a mysterious and huge fan base, both locally as well as internationally. While the intriguing stories and shocking discoveries about the many attempts to crack the case, Oak Island was receiving public recognition. In fact, people of all walks of life were curious about the elusive treasure and the legends that surround it. With a rumoured amount of £2 million to be buried on the island, it is not surprising that conflicts would arise. In '83, the Trident Alliance and one of their members, Fred Nolan, battled over the rights of certain parts of the island. The company sued Nolan over ownership of 7 of the island's lots. Nolan was sued for damages that greatly affected Trident Alliance's tourist business. His company appealed in '89 but lost for the second time. As the legal battles took over, Oak Island fell silent for over a decade. Until the Legina brothers finally came. The treasure hunt journey of Trident Alliance in Oak Island was featured in a 1965 Reader's Digest article. That being the same article that caught Rick Legina's interest when he was just 11 years old. In 2005, the brothers saw an opportunity to enter Oak Island when they learned that a faction of it was up for sale at around $7 million. They invested a 50% stake in a company called Oak Island Tourist Incorporated. The determination to find the treasure they dreamed of as kids still lived on in their 50-year-old forms. As a fresh start for the Oak Island journey, the Legina brothers integrated the modern technology earlier explorers hadn't had access to. Rick and Marty were the more determined to get to work and investigate the island further. With the help of state-of-the-art technology, the brothers were able to search not just the fabled money pit, but also unexplored parts of the island. The flooding of the pit was no longer an obstacle, as now the guys had technological means to create the efficient solutions. To their surprise, their efforts revealed secrets and allies that were far more than their expectations. When the History Channel learned about the hard work of the Legina brothers in the Oak Island mystery, the company commissioned a TV show called The Curse of Oak Island. Aside from catering to a bigger audience, the show also helped the siblings raise funds to keep their quest equipped with the necessary resources. Though they developed their burning desire to explore Oak Island mystery at a young age, the Legina brothers waited for a long time to pursue their treasure hunt. And with age and wisdom on their side, they came prepared. Marty had extensive experience with gas wells and digging, and he shared his knowledge and skills with his brother Rick. Marty had worked in a number of different gas wells, and so had spent time with a bunch of different engineering experts. He was able to make use of these connections, enlisting them to serve as professional counsels. One of the brothers' first projects for their show was to dig up a swamp so that they could search further than any explorer who had gone before them. It turned out the swamp revealed their first treasure, a Spanish coin dated back to the 17th century. This provided evidence that people from Spain had visited the island before. Various theories and speculations were made out of the significant piece of evidence found. One such theory suggests that the hidden treasure belonged to King Solomon. The show enjoyed its successful first 2 seasons, but it was during its 3rd season that the Legina brothers made their most thrilling discoveries. With the help of experts who assisted them with sonar readings and in training the borehole 10X, Rick and Marty eventually discovered the island's greatest bounty so far. They found a Roman sword and a Portuguese carving. Things got more interesting when they discovered proof that the Aztecs had explored the island in the past. In his 50s, Rick considered the Oak Island treasure journey to be an important constitution of a cherished childhood dream. There's a story to be written up here. Treasure, perhaps, but it's truly a wonderful story from a long time ago. Every day it feels like we're turning a page of a really good book, Rick said, reflecting on their treasure hunt. He also added that, to me, life's a treasure hunt. We're all on our own in our own different way, and we happen to be on a real one right now. During the 3rd installment of the show, the Legina brothers were given a French map from the year 1647. The map of Oak Island was illustrated in French and had some valuable facts contained within its contours. The map indicated that an anchor, a valve, and a hatch were in place to help explorers on their quest to find the island's treasure. The map also dropped hints that the alleged treasure may have come from Africa. These symbols and clues were very helpful for the Legina brothers, giving them vital clues that the past explorers had lacked. Believe it or not, the Oak Island mystery even has a connection to the historical Titanic tragedy. There was speculation that Vincent Astor contributed an incredible amount of money to the excavation of Oak Island. It was his strong conviction that led him to donate massive amounts of money, as he was said to have believed the monumental treasure really existed on the island. Astor even hoped that they might even recover the Ark of Covenant. The wealthy businessman had inherited his fortune from his famous father, John Jacob Astor IV, who died during the Titanic tragedy. One of the many skilled and smart explorers of the Oak Island mystery was a man named Barry Fell. Fell was a Harvard zoologist by trade and an archaeologist who claimed that the carvings discovered on Oak Island originated from the Coptic Christians of North Africa, who may have visited the site during ancient times. One lady who thinks she solved the mystery is Joy Steele. She claims that there are, in fact, more pits than the famous money pit to be found there. These pits, she claimed, were nothing but giant storage vessels for tar that were dug by the British Army to aid in the construction and maintenance of their ships. To add legitimacy to her theory, Joy highlighted various shipbuilding sites in North Carolina that looked similar to the Oak Island setup and were famous tar storage pits. Could it be the answer was nothing more than tar? Now we understand the intensive history of Oak Island and a vague understanding of Rick and Marty Legina. During their attempts, they discovered something much greater than the predicted treasures. A tomb houses great inscriptions. It was at this point that it was realized the real treasure of Oak Island wasn't the materialistic riches promised to the public, but the immense history hidden beneath Oak Island's soil. To our knowledge, this unearthed mystery of history could be able to rewrite history and change our understanding of the world we are in due to the immense amount of history that it holds. Not only was the ancient language one that could be finally decoded, but the history of Oak Island allowed a beacon of hope to shine in every soul who knows its history. Two boys who at a young age heard the mysteries, heels over head, discovered the truth. Oak Island forever lasts as a historical phenomenon, one full of mystery and fear, an island housing the riches of pirates, of royalty, ancient unknown, and the spirits of the dead. However, it wasn't what was said about the island that was the true mystery and why it's so beloved to this day. Oak Island remains such a staple due to what it shows within humanity, that theories can make the world go round, that the belief of haunted treasures, as fictitious as it may seem, many believed. It shows that history is never ending, that there is always more to find beneath what our eyes show us. It shows us the collaboration and the intrigue of the human mind to amass many expeditions in the believed treasure buried beneath the surface. But most importantly, it shows that no matter who you may be or who you are now, dreams can truly become reality, just like they did for Rick and Marty Legina.